Hi guys, this is a video about how to complete these 4 intro activities to Onshape. Here, we're going to start off with the question on the top left. I'll just go to this one here. So we'll go straight over to Onshape, and I've started a new document, and I've called it class activities. So the first thing I'll do here is turn off the top plane, turn off the right plane, and we're going to do our front view, our elevation on the front plane. So I select the front plane, I go to sketch, and I'm going to draw the profile of this. It's like an F shape, so I'm going to trace around this here, and I'll put the measurements in afterwards. I think I have them memorized. So horizontal, vertical, horizontal, vertical, horizontal, etc. Now, what I need to do here is make sure that this point here is locked in with that one. So I'll just show you how to do that last one again. So we need to find this point here. If it's not picking it up, you just move over to it and then move it over like that, and you can see that the dashed line there tells you that it's horizontally kept in line. Horizontal, vertical, horizontal, and again we want to get this last point here. Again, if it's not picking it up, just move your mouse over that point and it'll track it like so. Okay, now you can see my lines are a mixture of black and blue. We need them to be all black, and black means fully defined, so it means that each line or any piece of geometry has size and position on the page. So if I go to dimension here, the first thing I'll do is set the full dimension to be 125. It's always important to start with an overall dimension first, and I think the height of this here is 75. So that's the length, sorry, the width and the height set. Now this one here is 25. That is also 25, that is 25, and that is 25. This one here is 50. And everything is black. You'll notice that this one here, it's not blue, and I don't have to set it to 25. If I do set it to 25, it goes grey, and I can't put any other number in instead of 25. And it has to be, because if this is 125 and that's 25, 25 and 50, that adds to 100, and 100 away from 125 leaves you with 25. Okay, so we don't need to put that one there. So I'm going to click on it and delete it. Okay, so everything's black. I'm ready to move on. Keep in mind I started on the origin over here, so don't randomly start on the screen. Okay, so I'm going to end my sketch, and I'm going to go to the isometric view here, and I'm going to go to extrude, and I want to go like that. Now the depth of the object is 75, so I'm going to put in a depth. I'm going to go blind 75. Now you could put in another one here, it's called symmetric. This is one that I like to use a lot. So if you look at the difference, blind just goes from the sketch plane and out in one direction, whereas symmetric, if I tick that box, it goes symmetrically either side of the elevation, the front plane. So basically it's doing half of 75, which is 37.5 millimeters to the left and the right of the plane. Okay, that's fine. That's the object drawn. I'm going to turn off my front plane, and I'm going to turn off my origin. I'm going to give it an appearance, let's say a green tick, and I should always reset it back to isometric. Okay, now what I'm going to do is create a drawing for this. Now this tab down here, assembly, I'm going to get rid of that, so we delete that. And I'm going to hit the plus here. Now I'm going to rename this actually before I move on. So rename it as just question 1 3D model, or just question 1, sorry, I'll have to press and delete there a couple of times. Sorry, created by me. Class activities, get back into it here. So I'm after doing something unusual there, and I don't know what it is. So I just have it back here. So I'm going to rename this again. Try that one more time. 3D model. Okay. So I'm going to hit the plus here now. I'm going to set up a technical drawing. So create drawing, and I'm going to use my A4 template, which you guys should have. And click OK. It'll take a second now for this to open up. So immediately I'm going to rename this here. Question 2 DWG. DWG is short for drawing, okay? Now, it automatically opens this up here. If this bar is not opened up for you, I'll just X out of it. If that doesn't automatically open, you click this button here. And we're going to go insert, and we're going to insert part 1. Now, if we go back to this drawing here for a second, we need to do a front view from arrow A and a side view from arrow B. So it's looking in from the left, so it gets projected on the far side. So if you're standing at arrow A, arrow B is looking in from the left, it should be drawn on the right hand side. So I'll go back here, there's arrow A, I'm going to move this over to the right, there's our end view. I'm going to click this again and move down, and that's our plan view. Sorry, that's the end view over there. This is the plan view, and I want to hit that one more time and go diagonally down, and there's our 3D view. Next thing I want to do is I want to put my dimensions on it. So dimension as follows. So we want the overall width, and what we might do here is a chain of dimensions here that will describe each little horizontal section here. And we try and keep these in line. Notice how you can click the line if you want, or you can select the endpoints of the line. It doesn't matter which. And in this one here, we're going to set the height. So I'm going to select that point from there down to there. I'm going to get that line. I'm going to get that line there. And if we wanted, we could get this one here as well. So the vertical distance from there to there. Bring it over. Okay. I've only one more dimension to put on really, and that's this here, and that's the depth of the object. I've pretty much described every other dimension of the object, so we'll leave that there. Now, last thing I'll do is I'm going to make it shaded. So we right click on the view, show hide, show shaded view. And we'll do that for each one. Now in terms of the scale, we can leave it as it is. I think it's fine. We don't need to make anything bigger. Okay. Now you can edit your title block there. You can put, so question 1, technical drawing, your name, the date, and the scale is 1:2. So we'll leave it as 1:2. We don't need to change it. Okay. Notice how if I move the plan around, watch what happens. The front view jumps in line with it. And this is the thing about orthographic projection. All the views should be in line with each other. So if I move the front view left and up, the 2 other views will move with it to keep in line. Okay, so that should be good. Right, I'm going to open up a new tab. So create part studio. And I'm going to rename this question 2 model. And if I go back to my technical drawing, this one here, we're going to do this one. So I'm going to do the front view from that the direction there. Now I'm going to draw the steps first, and I'm going to leave the block then till later. So we'll do it in 2 stages this time. So we'll have 2 sketches and 2 extrudes. So I'm going to turn off the right and the top plane. I'm going to select the front plane and look in from the front. And if I go to sketch, I'm going to start at the origin and draw a set of steps like this, okay? And we lock into that last point and close it off. Now, each step I think horizontally is 25. Sorry, no, the middle one is actually 50. And the last one is 25. So I'm just going to make the overall width to be 100. That'll automatically set that last one to be 25. Now each step then I think is 25 high, I hope. And I'm going to set the overall height to be 75. Okay. So that should be it there. I'm just going to double check my dimensions, 25, 50. Yeah, that's it. Grand. So what I'm going to do now is extrude that. So I'm going to select the sketch, go extrude, and again I'm going to do a symmetric sketch because I like to have the plane in the middle, and the thickness of it is 50. And green tick. Now I'm going to turn off my front plane. We're done with that. What we're going to do is add this little step on, this little 50 by 25 high step, and I'm going to draw a rectangle on this. So I'm going to not use the planes here, the 3 main planes. I'm going to use this surface here to draw. So we don't have to we're not limited to the 3 planes. We can actually draw it on any flat surface and treat the flat surface like a plane. So I have it selected. I select sketch, and I'm going to use a corner rectangle here. And I'm going to use the bottom right corner as my start point. And we just open it out like and I'm going to click dimension here, and I'm going to dimension that to be 50, and I'm going to dimension this to be 25. It's fully black, so I'm ready to move on. The last thing I'll do is extrude it. So I'm going to click it. Now I don't want to do a symmetric one here. It's 25 depth and blind, and that's it. Again, I'm going to give it a color. Give it something different this time, and that's it done. We should always reset it back to an isometric view when we're done. I'm going to turn off my origin. I don't need to see that. So again, I'm going to set up a technical drawing. Select my A4 template. Again, it'll take a second. I'm going to rename this now immediately as question 2 DWG. Question 2. Sorry, it's just lagging behind. I'll rename it at the end, okay? No, I'll do it now. Question 2 DWG. Right. Now, what do we need to insert? We need to insert question 2 model. Okay, so I have 3D model. That was actually meant to be, I'm going to rename that question 1 model. I don't know why I named that. Okay, we want to bring in the question 2 model. So select question 2, select the object, and again we're doing our front view. So let's look back here. Front view from arrow A. The side view is looking in from the left, so it has to be drawn on the right. So there's the front view. Move it over to the right. It's looking in from the left. That's what the viewer sees when they look in from the left. And we go back and we click that and we move it down. And I'm going to go diagonally down for a 3-dimensional view. Again, we want to go show hide. The shaded view, I better turn that off actually. So show hide shaded view. Shaded view. And the last one. Okay, so again, I'm going to put my measurements on it. So we want to go with an overall width of the object. I want to go with each step now, the width of each step, and try to keep them in line. Okay, and I'm going to go with the height now. And I'm going to do the height of each step. Very simple, very quick. Now, the overall depth, I'm going to do that here. 75. I'm going to do that line there, and that line there. And one more thing that I'll do is maybe the height here of this little block. That has to be communicated as well. And that is it done. Okay, again, edit your title block. So I'm going to set up a third one now. Create Part Studio. And I'm going to call this, when it opens, here it is here. I'm going to rename that question 3 model. Okay, so let's go to question 3. So we have this kind of weird looking block. So again, this has to be done in 2 parts. I'm going to do the bottom section. So imagine this kind of U shape was cut off. We'd have this platform here that's 75 by 100. Okay, I think I have all my dimensions there. Right, so what I'm going to do now is go onto the top plane this time. So I'll turn off the front plane. Now, I'm just having internet issues there. Okay, so turn off the front plane and the right plane. So we go to the top plane. So select the top plane, look down from the top, and we're going to go sketch. So I'm going to sketch from the origin. We should always start from the origin. Horizontal line, vertical, horizontal, vertical, horizontal. Try to get that in line with this one. Vertical, and we want to get this last one here. Okay. So imagine I have just drawn this base part here. So I'm going to put in my measurements now. So the full thing was 75 from there to there. And this here is 25. Now the width of it is, I think it's 100. Yeah, it's 100 in total. And I need to do this line here. That's going to be 25. And that one there is 50. Okay. It's always good practice to kind of put your measurements outside the object neatly. Okay, so I'm going to extrude that now. I'll go back to an isometric view. turn off my top plane. And what I'm going to do is select extrude, select the sketch, and as far as I know, it's a 25mm thickness for the base. Okay, don't look my origin, I don't need to do that. So what I'm going to do now is draw this U shape, and I'm going to draw it on not one of the three planes, but I'm going to draw it on the back of the object. Watch this now. So I'm going to rotate my model around, select the back, okay, and we just look in from the back. Now I need to zoom out a bit and maybe pan it down. So we're looking in at the back of the object now. So I'm going to select that surface, sketch, line, and I'm going to start here. So we're using the back, even though it's a small rectangle, there's an imaginary plane that goes outside it, and that's basically what we're drawing on right here. So I'm just going to roughly draw out that kind of U shape, if you want to call it that. And now I have to close it off. We need this last line here to close it off, otherwise it won't let us extrude it. Now, 25. This one here is 50, I believe. This one here is 25. Grant, the height then, I think is, I have to go back and look at that. The height of that part is 75 and 50. Okay, so this part here is 75. This part here is 50. Everything is fully black, fully defined, so I'm now ready to move on. I'm going to rotate my model back around, and what I'm going to do is extrude that sketch. Now, see this here? I was hoping this would happen. It's going the wrong direction. So we can click this arrow to go in the opposite direction, and it's 25 and green tick. Okay. Now, it's two different colors there. I'm going to show you why it's two different colors. It should be one, and we should only have one part here. It's because I've created a new part. I want to add it on, like weld it on, like it's all one solid part rather than two bits that are not the same thing. So just make sure add is selected. Again, I'm going to give it a color, green tick, and I'm going to start up a new technical drawing. So create drawing. Use my template, click OK. It'll take a second to generate. Okay, so again, I'm going to insert my question tree model. Click it. Now, let's go back here, and we can see that there's arrow A, our front view. Arrow B is looking in now from the right, so it gets projected on the left, on the far side. So here's arrow A, front view, looking in from the right. We draw the side view on the left, and then we go back and we always put our plan underneath the elevation. Lastly, I want to do my 3D view, so come down diagonally. And again, I want to show hide. Turn that off. Show shaded view. Show shaded view. Now, this is important now. There's some what we call hidden detail in this one here. Hidden detail is stuff we can't see. So this lower level in here, the platform, that's been blocked out. When I'm looking in from this side here, I can see that L shape, but this little platform here can be represented with hidden detail. So again, right click, show hide, show hidden lines. Watch this. It now shows us that platform there. Now, I shouldn't have done it in this one here. I had two of them selected. So hide hidden lines for that one. We only want it on this one. And that's in line with that platform there. It's the same thing. So show hide, show shaded view. There's no hidden detail in that view. Right click, show hide, show shaded view. We never show hidden detail or hidden stuff in a 3D view, only in 2D views. Okay, again, I'm going to do my widths in the elevation. I will also do my height. Now I need to select the top to the very bottom, 2 points. I'm going to put the height of that one there. I'm going to put the height of this one here, if I can, if it doesn't crash. Sorry, we're back there. This line here, 25. And if we want to get this little section in here, we can select that point and that point there, and that will communicate there with. Now, the depth, we could do that in the end view if we want. And the thickness of that part, and then this part here, and then this part here, the 325s adding up to 75. And that's pretty much it. That's everything communicated there. If I wanted to go and manufacture this thing here, I have all the dimensions there that I need. Okay, I'm going to rename that there, question 3 DWG. Okay, moving on to the last one, new tab, create part studio. And we're going to draw this object here. Now this could be done in, just realize it can be done in two sketches, 2 extrudes. So imagine I was to chop this in half here. Imagine I was to cut it along that line there. I could draw this profile here and then draw this L on the front. So we'll go with that. Again, I'm going to go in the front plane, select the front plane, look in at the front plane and sketch. We're going to start off with a line. So we're going to go like this, then this, over, down, over, and I'm after missing that there because I was being too hasty. There we are, and I just need to close it off with a line, like so. Now I think the length was 100, this was 25, 25, and this should be 50. It should be grey because if we do the maths, that has to be 50. And that's 20, sorry, that's 25, that's 25, and the overall height 75. Everything is fully black and defined, so we hit the green tick and we go to an isometric view and select the sketch, and we want to go 25. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to draw that L shape. So I basically have this portion here, so it's an L shape like that, and again I'm going to draw it on this surface here, looking at the front, and sketch, and now I'm going to draw it over to there. In fact, now I'll try to do this a bit more carefully because we should be able to use the geometry that's there. So I'm going to start across from this point, so join that over, and I want to lock it in horizontally with that. And then I think that comes over to about here, bring it down, across and up. Right, so basically this here I think is 50. And it's fully black because I used, if you need to put measurements in, you can do that, but I was able to lock my points in line with the existing blocks that were there. So back to isometric, extrude, and we want to go 25, and we make sure add is clicked, and that should be it. Yes, it is. Again, give it a color. Sorry. Go with a nice purple. Grand. Okay. I'm going to rename that question 4 model, and we want to go create drawing. Again, use the template. Now this one here I'm going to mess with the scale. I'm going to show you how to change the scale because this is quite a small drawing compared to the other ones. Okay, so we're going question 4 model, move it out. Now again, let's have a look at our end view. So our front view is there, arrow A. Our end view is looking in from the right, so we draw it or project it on the left. So there's our front view. The side view is projected on the left, and then the plan view is projected below it, and 3D view is down there. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to mess around with the scale here. Scale is basically the size of it. So it says 1:2 down there. The sheet scale is automatically 1:2. That means that the measurements on the sheet is half to what it is in real life. So we're going to make this 1:1 and see what happens. So sorry, I'll do that again. We double click on the view and we go to scale, and it's the sheet scale is 1:2. Let's try 1:1. and we'll see if they fit. Okay, that's grand. Now I want to move these out so that they're spaced out, so I have some room to do my measurements. And you can see it's filling the page a lot better. I want to turn off these 1:1s here. Okay, so double click into each view and turn off scale label, and it'll create a bit more room. So scale label, turn it off. Scale label, turn it off. Grand. And I'm going to make them all again. Show, hide, shaded view. Show, hide, shaded view. Now I hope I have enough room to do my measurements here, but I think I'll get away with it. Okay, so I'm going to go down here and I'm going to change my sheet. So double click on any of these here to edit them, and it's now 1:1. Okay, so I'm going to drag this down as far as I can, just to give myself a bit more room here. Okay, so let's go with our dimension. So overall width, first one, second one, here to here, select the 2 points, and this here should be 25. And I'm going to put the height of each block in, so we'll do the full height now here. Put that, in fact, what I might take advantage of the other view for doing the height. We'll do that height there, 25, 25, 25. Now I could drag them out a little bit more if I wanted. Now, so that's pretty much everything except for the depths. So I'm going to put the depth in here, from here to here, here to here. I think that's everything. That's everything communicated in terms of height, depth, and width. That's everything. Yep, that's pretty much it. So you can see that this one fills the page a lot better. Now I could make this one smaller if I wanted. If I double click on it, I could go with something. So 1:2. Let's have a look at that again. Maybe that's too small. Maybe 1:1 is too big. So we'll try a different scale here. So I'm going to try one that's called 3:2. It's like 1.5:1. So if I go down here, you should be able to edit it somewhere. I can't remember where. Scale, parent. Sorry, no. It is. There should be a way to edit. Oh, you can type it in. I forgot about that. So 3:2. Okay, sorry, man. 2 is to 3. Sorry, 2:3. So it's basically 66%. Or you could do 3/4, 3:4. That's even bigger again, and I think that's a perfect one. And I'll turn off the scale label because I don't need to see it. Okay. Now that's that question done. Everything's done. So 4 models done. So I'll just rename this here to finish it off. So it's question 4 DWG. Right. So we should have 8 tabs altogether. Question 1. Question 2. That should be question 1 DWG. I just noticed that now. Another misprint. Brilliant. 8 tabs altogether, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So basically for each drawing, each question, we have a model, 3D model and a 2D technical drawing sheet. Right, we leave it at that there, and I'll see you in the next video.